Hey everyone, Vindicator Jones here. Today we're going to have a look at the new camera system in Elite Dangerous 2.3 and check out its new features. A lot of people have found it a bit complicated to use and not very intuitive and a bit difficult to set up. But I'll take you through the process of setting it up and roughly go through each option and briefly discuss what it actually does. So what we'll do, we'll actually go to our main menu first and we shall check out the options and the keybinds. So go to controls. Now what you want to do is scroll down to the bottom and first look at these two new options here. We'll look at camera suite first because that's the initial mode you'll enter into, which is now completely different from the old system. Previously in the old camera system, you'd hit the tittle key and you'd go straight into the debug camera. But with the new camera in Elite Dangerous, you'll have multiple options to select multiple cameras. Some of them will be on the inside of your ship from different angles, and a few will be on the outside of the ship. Now when you hit the tittle key, you'll be taken into your new camera system. Now this will take you into the default view, which is an interior view. And you do have some minimal movement with the camera, but not very much on the internal mode. You can then select outside views and then select the view that you want to work with. Once you've selected the view that you want to work with, you press the C key, well in my case it's the C key, and then go into the new camera system. But before we do that, let's have a look at the controls setup and see how things work. Okay, we'll go back into controls and we head now down to free camera. Now, I'm just going to quickly touch on these controls and explain what they do briefly. I'll go into more detail about them once we're actually in the camera. Toggle HUD is pretty self-explanatory. If you want to disable the HUD and your camera information when you want to record video or take a picture. Increase speed and decrease speed are actually very useful tools if you're using buttons on your controller. This will either speed up or slow down the movement that you're currently using. So say if you're deciding to pan to the left, this can increase or decrease the speed of that pan. It also works well with analog controls and they're a pretty good option to have bound to some keys. Zoom in and out basically works just like your camera. You can zoom into an object for some nice tight close-ups or zoom out for some really nice wide panoramic shots. Forward axis is pretty self-explanatory. It's basically moving the camera forwards or backwards from the object that you're focused on. I actually use my throttle for this and use one of the buttons on the throttle to reverse the movement should I need to. You can also set up some keybinds for this control if you need to, if you're using a gamepad or the keyboard, and gives you a lot of options of being able to control things. What we have here now is lateral axis, and this is primarily used to move the camera left and right. On my X52 controller, I actually have some analog dials which I'm using to control the camera. Because they're analog, it allows me to control their speed, meaning I could have nice, slow, silky smooth pans or move the camera quickly if I need to. It also allows me to vary the speed should I need to at any time. And again, if you don't have any analog controls, you can set up other keys or joypad buttons. Lift axis is the same as basically lateral axis, but instead moving up and down. And again, I use an analog rotary control knob on my throttle to control this action. Of course, again, you can set keys if you need to. Pitch axis basically rotates the camera up or down like the nose of your ship, and I basically just have it to the same setting as my joystick, which it just makes it a bit easier for me. You can of course set it a mouse if you wish to, or apply keys. The yaw axis basically twists the camera left and right. It's similar to pitch, but obviously in the horizontal position. I've basically set this up to my rudders or on my X52, which is the actual twist of the joystick, which seems to work really well for me. Roll axis is basically like your ship. You can either roll to your left or right. And again, same principle. I've just set it to my joystick roll rate. And you can also assign buttons to it if you need to. Okay, moving on to some of the more advanced options. We have toggle rotation lock, which means that if you're in an external view and you want to stop the camera rolling with your ship, you can toggle this and it'll prevent the camera rolling with the ship, allowing you to take some really cool video shots of the ship rolling while the camera remains stationary. Lock to vehicle is pretty self-explanatory. It will connect the camera to the ship, whatever view you have selected, and the camera will follow the ship no matter what you do. Lock to world means that the camera is locked in one place in the world. It can't rotate, it can't move, but it allows you to fly the ship around the camera. So you can get some really great shots of flying away from the camera, or flying towards the camera, or flying past. I would have loved this option to have a track target view where you can actually get the camera to follow your ship around. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that. So the camera stays stationary and doesn't move at all. Exit free camera is to allow you to return to the previous menu to select any other cameras you would like, whether they be internal or external. Zoom and depth of field toggle allows you to toggle between using depth of field controls or actual zoom. I would have liked to have been able to use both at the same time, but yeah, you can only either toggle between either one. Decrease blur means that it'll obviously decrease the amount of blur when you're in depth of field mode, and of course obviously increase blur creates more blur. Increase focus distance means that the camera will then focus on a point that's further away from your current position, and decrease focus distance means the camera will focus on a point that is closer to the camera. Okay, anyway, let's get out of here. Let's go back into the main game. And what we'll do is we'll press the title key and we can cycle through the different camera presets and select the one we want to work with. Select the external view, and now I can control the camera using my joystick. So as you can see, I can pitch up and down using the joystick, roll left and right using the joystick, pretty much similar as controlling your ship. So let's have a look at my ship now. I can yaw left and right using the twist function on my joystick. Basically, it's the rudder. Now, and I can use the joystick throttle to move the camera position in and out. Actually, what I will do is I'll actually return to the surface, because while you're in the dock here, you don't actually have much freedom of movement. Whereas once you're on the surface, you can move the camera around a lot more and pull the camera back further away. Chrome looks really nice in this station with these lights. Once you're at the surface, you can see just all the different reflections. It looks really cool. Okay, now I'm back up on top. I should be able to move around a little bit more freely and move the camera in and out a bit more. As you can see here, I can actually start pulling it back quite a distance. Actually, this goes very far back, which is really, really nice. I think you have a range of about 3 kilometers. And also, if I use the speed keys, remember those speed up, speed down keys, they also affect the analog controls as well. So if I go to the full, the lowest speed possible, how it drastically slows everything down. So you can speed it up, slow it down. Speed it up, slow it down. So that's great if when you want to do some nice pan shots and you really want to slow things down a bit. So I'll just get us in a bit closer. Now, oops, not that close. As you probably remember, I did discuss my analog twist controls, dial controls I should say, that I have on my throttle. And I can use these to do nice, slow panning shots like this. And I can control the speed using the dial. So if I speed up, if I turn the dial a little bit more, it speeds up. And if I turn the dial back down, it slows down. And it gives me really good fine control over how the camera pans. You can also vary the speed at any time, which is really nice. Again, if I use the speed up keys, I could get it to go much faster or much slower. My experience, it's really good to put on the slower setting, because then you get much more smoother transitions. So you can see there. And I could also incorporate that with moving in the camera and get some nice, speed that up a bit. So I'm using the twist of my rudder to maintain the camera's position, and I'm moving to the left using the analog twist controller on my throttle. And I'm also slowly moving in towards the target using the throttle. So you get some nice pans happening like that. But you can also, I've also got the buttons set up for that, so I can move it quickly if I want to, up or down, left and right. But I can also use the analog dialer on my joystick to go up and down. So you can get some, mix in some nice effects by going up. I've actually set the controller to move myself to the left, the analog controller. Hang on, yeah, losing control here. Lost control, Captain. So what I can do is set the controller to go to the left, and I can slowly start to move up while pitching down the camera, and you can get some nice views like that. So there's a lot of freedom of movement, which I quite like. Anyway, let's get into some of the more in-depth features. What we can also do now, which is a very nice function, is to zoom in. And you can get great new views like that. So, gives you some nice tight views. Now, if I press the H key, turns off the HUD, or whatever key you've set it up for. And you can see you get some really nice, good shots there. And you can also fully zoom out. You get some really awesome panoramic shots, and using the analog dial control on my throttle, I could slowly move the camera to the left, giving a really nice pan function. Sorry, to the right. I get some nice, and if I put in a little twist on my rudder, I can follow the ship. I get some really nice pan shots, which is really cool. What we can also do is use the new depth of field option. Now I can just turn that on. I think I'll put the HUD back on. So you can see you can either go into the focus mode or the zoom mode, so you're there on the left. Now I've got focus and zoom set up to the buttons on my joystick. So what I can do, and over on the right you can see the amount of blur. So if I put more blur in, things will start turning more blurry. Now we can use the focus buttons to zoom, to set the focus point. So there we can go. We focused on the nose of the ship, and we've got a nice little blur effect happening there in the background. A nice bit of depth of field. To really maximize the use of depth of field, you really, and this is using actual proper camera techniques, oops, hang on, is to zoom in fully. And actually, you'll get maximum depth of field doing this. Hang on for a second. So I now set the focus distance to be further out. Let's wait for it to come into sharp focus. And you can see there you can get some real heavy depth of field. And you can even gradually increase the focal point to get some nice little transitions from sharp point on the front of the ship there, slowly moving towards the rear of the ship. So there's some great things you can do. Hang on, I'll turn the HUD off. So you can see there the front is now coming out of focus and the rear of the ship is now coming into focus. So you could even reverse the process. And what you could do is speed this up in a video editor. It would be nice if this was actually an analog control similar to the panning left, right, and up, down controls. Will give you some really nice smooth transitions. But still, it's nice to have this option anyway, even if it's only a button. So there you go. You can see there now the ship coming in, to front of the ship coming into focus, kind of. So if it was analog, I'd be able to do that fast, and I would really love to be able to do that, including the zoom. I wish the zoom was analog as well. Then we could get some really nice rack focus effects happening. And if the zoom was also analog, we could get some nice pull focus effects. Using these controls, we can do some interesting things, such as slowly panning the camera around as we increase the focal point, so that as the camera moves towards the back of the ship, the rest of the ship slowly starts to come into focus. So there's lots of little tricks you can do to really give a bit more punch to your videos. I've just zoomed into the cockpit here so we can try some other nice shots, like action scenes in the cockpit perhaps. Just trying to get the camera to come into focus here, into the cockpit. Just go wait until it catch up. Come on, it's getting closer. There we go. There you are. You can see your character there. You can do some really, you know, slow the camera down a bit more. And you could do some really nice hand shots there using analog controls. That. And even have a slow pull out and then slowly pitch down. You'll have to increase the depth, your focus point while doing this. It's a little bit tricky to do, but with a bit of practice, yeah, because I wish it was analog, but that's okay. If you just time it right, you should be able to do it. But yeah, anyway, you can sort of see there what I'm getting at. Getting some really nice hand shots. And you can still do it while you're zoomed out completely, but you won't get the same kind of blur effect. But again, you can get some nice, interesting pan shots. Whoops. Like that. Which looks really nice with this station. You can also mix some of the analog controls so you can actually pan left and right while moving up and down, while using the twist function to follow your ship around. So yeah, the new camera system gives you a lot of flexibility in what you can do, which is absolutely fantastic. But what we'll do now is I'm going to take this outside. We're going to try out some of the other camera functions once we're flying around in space. I'm going to put the camera behind my ship into a nice chase plane mode so we can record video while we're actually flying. So I'll just get the camera into position. I'm just fiddling around with the right buttons. Bear with me. Okay, there we go. Now you can hear the roar of the engines, which is really nice. I'll turn the HUD off. You can see the actual heat vanes open up when you boost, which is really nice. You see a lot of the animation effects that you normally would never see. And I really like it. Currently in flight assist off mode. You can see here, it looks really nice and cool as you're doing this. Put flight assist back on. Now what you can do is disable rotational adjustment. So now You can follow your ship around like this, and the camera always will stay in this angle. You can see that I really like watching the heat radiators open up as you boost. Also, the other camera mode you can use is lock to world, is where you can lock the camera in place and fly your ship away from the camera or towards the camera or fly around the camera. We can also use some of the camera's other functions such as zoom and blur. So I'll just get myself into a nice little position. What's that weird little light on top of my ship there? Oh, that's weird. Okay, it's probably just a bug. No problems. So we can like zoom the camera out for some nice, really wide perspective shots. Trying to get myself into a relatively decent position there. And you can sort of see like the different looks you can get using zoom. Zooming in and out to get some really nice shots like that. And this is great for still photos or capturing video. I mean, you could do so much like this. You could use this as a locked off camera and fly the ship. Looks like it's coming from the station, heading towards away from the station, heading towards the camera. Just trying to get a good angle here, just so I can do a little bit more experimentation with some nice pan shots. I think that should do it. Just rotate this around just a little bit more. And now you can see I've got the analog pan control happening, and I'm using the joystick to keep myself on target. Whoops. There we go. Screwed up there, but you can get the idea. Look, get some nice shots there. Try that some depth of field. Just increasing my focus point, my focal point. So it's onto the front of the ship. Come on. It's getting there. There we go. There we go. Now you can see a little bit of haloing around the ship due to maximum blur levels, but if you decrease the blur, it will tend to get rid of it a bit. So you can play around with the blur settings until you can get the exact look you're after. But you can see there, look, that's a really nice shot. You can have the ship flying towards you. A nice little bit of camera rotation there. It's just trying to balance out the shot and be very gentle with the controls. But yeah, you can still like see there. What I'll do, I'll just go back into ship control mode in a second. Just trying to get myself to a good position here. And I'll show you like the ship coming from the station towards the camera. Just trying to get the right look that I'm after. There we go. Just control the ship a bit. Go use a bit of reverse thruster. And that should do it about there. Hit the boost button. And really nice flyby. So yeah, yes, you can see there's quite a bit that you can do. Some very powerful controls. It is a little bit of a pain in the butt to set up and a little bit hard to fully understand what all the controls do and how to balance using all of them. I think using a mouse and keyboard is going to be a bit difficult, but not impossible. I think if you've got a game controller with a lot of analog options, you're going to be in a far better place to take advantage of this new camera system. I do wish they did have follow targets on the exterior camera so you could follow your ship around no matter where you fly. And I wish they did have analog controls for both zoom and depth of field. But otherwise, I'm extremely happy with what they've done with the camera. It's significantly better than what we've had before, and I do think this is a step in the right direction. Well, I hope that gave you some good points on how to use a new camera system. Stay tuned after the video for a short little animation I did using the new camera. It's nothing special, just something I quickly threw together so you can have a look at how the new camera can actually give you some interesting animation shots. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and please consider supporting me on Patreon so I can create more videos. Also, don't forget to add me on Twitter. I'll be running some competitions soon, so keep an eye out for that. This is Vindicator Jones signing off. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you out there in the big black.
This is Vindicator Jones requesting permission to launch overhead to jump point. Vindicator Jones, this is traffic control. You are cleared to launch. Be mindful of traffic during session.